What is going on, guys? Good morning to everybody. This is the official Daily Grind Fantasy live stream for this Week 12 NFL slate. Cannot wait to break it down, guys. How is everybody doing? Good morning to TJ. Good morning to everybody in the chat. We just came out swinging here with a bunch of viewers. So thanks for joining. Thanks for the support, everybody. And do you know what I just realized, TJ? After looking at the calendar, we are 1 month away from NBA. I know your favorite to break down for DFS. So we will be breaking down some NBA content on Patreon. We'll also be doing some live streams, not to get too far ahead, but I cannot wait. Can't wait for the Spurs title run yet again. Bringing back that 2014 championship. Yeah. All right. It's going to be another bad season. So I believe the Celtics, though, real quick, did they do anything in the draft or offseason yet? I don't think they have. They've not made too many big moves, have they?
Well, we drafted Naismith, the 14th pick, which I really like. Good shooter.
Yeah.
We signed Tristan Thompson, and we signed Jeff Teague. So we got a little bench help. We got a big.
Okay.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, that is very exciting.
It's going to be gone,
but this isn't an NFL live stream, so I just wanted to ask that real quick because I haven't been keeping up with the Celtics. But let's go ahead and start. We have a lot to cover in general. We're going to be talking, about the Broncos picture. I know a lot of you are going to have questions. We also have a lot of things to cover. Our last video that we posted on Saturday morning, or yesterday morning, I'm losing track of days. There was a lot of people that got ruled out. I know specifically for the Falcons, Gurley got ruled out. For the Colts, Jonathan Taylor got ruled out, so we'll cover all of that. We also got some questions in our Discord chat. People wanted us to cover some good chalk, bad chalk, because there's a lot of bad chalk on the slate. Jacksonville Jaguars, DJ Chark got ruled out as well, so we'll be covering the value options and there. And Keelan Cole. So a lot of value options to look at for the Jaguars. So we'll do all of that for you guys.
Cole. I meant Chris Conley. Sorry, I meant Chris Conley.
Whatever. They all suck. So let's go ahead and start with the quarterback position. Actual quarterbacks that we can start on the slate. Josh Allen here, 14.3%, the highest owned now. TJ, Patrick Mahomes, 12.7%, and Derek Carr, 10.3%. So when we covered on the video, Derek Carr was at the top, 10.3%. He is now third highest on the slate. Josh Allen's now taking over. I know you had mentioned on the video Patrick Mahomes was actually your favorite cash option. Does this change your mindset at all with actually Eckler being back for the Chargers? That's also something else we have to cover at the running back position. So do you think that Josh Allen warrants the highest owned quarterback here on the slate at 7.6K?
No, Matt, I'm kind of looking at Kendall Hinton for the Broncos. No. I still do like Patrick Mahomes at 8K over Allen, but I do love that matchup between Buffalo and the Chargers. Obviously, Eckler is back for the Chargers, so it'll be interesting to see his workload today. I wouldn't expect like a full workload from him, but definitely working him back into the offense. But yeah, we touched about it in the final look picks, and I still really like Patrick Mahomes. I like the over under in that game, sitting at the highest at 56.5, playing against the Bucs. Again, a little bit of a tougher matchup, but I do like that offense. Thinking that Patrick Mahomes is more matchup proof. So I do understand the ownership perspective for Josh Allen and for Mahomes as well. But again, if I can find that extra $400, which I think is something you can easily do now with all these injuries, I would rather go up to Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen. But I think they're both viable for cash.
Yeah, I can't decide personally. We're looking at the over-under for Kansas City and Tampa, and that's also been going up. It's a 0.5. It's moved up 0.5. I believe it was at 56 when we covered it on the video. Buffalo, though, has been technically, I believe it went down to 50. It went from 53 to 52. Now it's back up to 52.5. So not too much movement. Not anything to really worry about too much. But yeah, Josh Allen. You guys know I love Josh Allen. Has been sensational all season long. Same thing with Patrick Mahomes. He's playing Tampa Bay. I would trust the over-under in this game if you can get up to the 8K. I know there's a lot of value plays opening up at the running back, wide receiver position. We talked about it here just briefly. I think you would be able to get Patrick Mahomes into your lineup pretty comfortably as long as you're going down to some of those value plays at the running back position. So you can do that. But I think Derek Carr here at 10.3%, are you just not looking at him anymore at 5.7K for cash?
No, it's not that I'm not looking at him. I just think there's so much value at the running back position now and wide receiver that I'd rather go up and get Mahomes over Derek Carr. It's not saying that Derek Carr isn't in a great matchup against Atlanta, but I just think that there's so much value elsewhere that I don't really need to buy low on quarterback. But yeah, if you're looking to stack running backs and wide receivers and you're finding yourself in a pinch looking to spend down, like Derek Carr is definitely a good spend down option at 5,700. Again, fantastic matchup against Atlanta that ranks 26th in DVOA against the pass, and they've given up the second most DraftKings points to opposing quarterbacks. So it's a great spot for Derek Carr. But again, if I can get up to Mahomes, that's where I want to be.
I kind of want to move on to running back right away, but let's go ahead and cover GPP options for quarterbacks because running back's actually very interesting to talk about. GPP options. So I've been kind of on the fence about a couple of these plays, but I will say I do think, and I will say this confidently, I do think Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes will be the highest scoring quarterback today. I don't think there's a really big question, of course, bearing any crazy injuries. You can throw Tom Brady into that conversation, but another person I think is getting very overlooked this week, TJ, is Kyler Murray at 5.4%. Not because I think he has a great matchup, but if we look back at his games, and I actually just noticed this, his floor game was last week against the Seahawks, which doesn't make sense. 20.26. That is his floor this season. Absolutely unreal. I really haven't sat back and watched Kyler Murray play. I think I've seen him play in one game, but I didn't realize how consistent he has been all season long. His highest scoring game has come against the Miami defense, and we know that the Miami defense is really underrated at this point in the season. They are a very good defense, and they're playing the Patriots. I do believe the Patriots have a pretty good defense this year statistically. I believe they're missing a couple of their stars.
Tower Chung, a lot of guys that sat out because of COVID.
So I do think, I'm not saying he's matchup proof, but I don't think matchup really matters when you look at Kyler Murray just because of how involved he is in this offense. At 5.4%, I think he's by far my favorite GPP option. Him and Tom Brady, I think you can throw into the conversation. But I do think Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and then if I had to give a one off as like another QB that could approach the top three in terms of scoring, I think it's the highest priced quarterback here with Kyler Murray. GPP thoughts, TJ?
No, I agree with you on Kyler, Matt. It is a good matchup against a Pats secondary that has struggled. Gilmore is back. It'll be interesting to see what they do with D-Hop. But again, the Cardinals are without Larry Fitz due to COVID. But yeah, Pats ranked 31st in DVOA pass, unfortunately, and the defense has struggled this year. So yeah, if you're getting Kyler at 5% ownership, I definitely don't hate that. I do like Brady, as we talked about. I like that game as a whole. So that's definitely something to keep an eye on at 6,600. I think that's relatively cheap in a fantastic upside matchup against the Chiefs. There's some cheaper plays. I know we talked about Matt Ryan in that matchup against the Raiders. I think that's a pretty good one to target, being Atlanta and the Raiders. We got to wait and see what Julio's doing. I'm pretty sure he's listed as doubtful or he's expected to sit. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Another guy, Tua, looks like he's going to sit. So Ryan Fitzpatrick at 5,500. I definitely like that. Fantastic matchup against the Jets, who ranked last in DVOA against the pass, going up against his former team also. So yeah, I mean, I know I talked about Baker Mayfield. I'm kind of weaning off of him a little bit.
Finally came to your senses there.
Yeah. I mean, again, I don't hate the matchup against the Jags. It's just
it's a great matchup.
And all those receivers being out and Chark and Conley, that it's just the offensive weapons aren't going to be there. So I'd rather go a Nick Chubb Brown stack opposed to stacking Mayfield and wide receivers, but I might still dabble a little bit. And yeah, I mean, there's obviously some cheaper guys like Matt. Any interest in Mike Glennon at 4,600? Like, you gonna have a lineup with him? No, I think that's kind of where I'm drawing the line then.
Yeah, like referring back to my statement, I do think the chalk here for the quarterback position is very good chalk, and that's one of the things my the Patreon chat wanted me to address. I think the quarterback position, I do think Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Kyler Murray, and maybe Tom Brady could be in the top 5 quarterbacks in terms of scoring. I feel like there's no more obvious option here at the quarterback position. I think it's very straightforward.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and move on to the running back picture. Let's go ahead and talk about some more interesting things here. We still have Dalvin Cook, the highest owned at 31.8%. I'm going to go straight down to this conversation, TJ. Hines at $4,600 is now the second highest owned at 28.7%. We just got done talking about all the value plays. We also got done talking about the pay-up options at QB. So what would your build look like? I mean, are you going to be still paying up for Dalvin Cook, or are you going to be taking two value plays? Because we have Brian Hill here at $4,000, 19.7%. What are your build options looking like here at the running back position?
So I want to make Cook a target. I want to make him a priority still. I still love him in this matchup against Carolina. They rely so heavily on him offensively, and it's looking like is Thielen still out because of COVID?
Yes, he is out.
Okay, so Thielen is out. Okay, yeah. So that just makes me like Cook even more. So yeah, 9,500. The ownership's obviously going to be there, but for cash, I definitely like him. And when we look at all these value plays, Matt, yeah, we're looking at Nyheim Hines at 4,600. I think he's definitely in play in terms of cash. So he's carrying the ownership, and rightfully so, with Jonathan Taylor being out. I think it's a decent matchup against Tennessee. I think this could potentially be a sneaky shootout. Sitting at 51.5 over under. I definitely like Nyheim Hines. And then you mentioned Brian Hill at the minimum of 4K. Yeah, I love Brian Hill in this matchup. I was sneaky on Todd Gurley. So the fact that Gurley's out, now we can save 1,500 because Gurley was 55. Go down to Brian Hill. So I think you can, if you don't want to go up and play Dalvin Cook, I don't hate Nyheim Hines, and I like Brian Hill a little bit more, but I think they're both viable in terms of cash.
Yeah, absolutely. And the question that comes in is this good chalk or bad chalk? When I talk about chalk and good chalk and bad chalk, I'm just talking about GPP options. For cash, right, you play the high ownership and you never look back. You play those in all the cash or in all the cash contests, 50-50 double ups. But for GPPs, per our leverage sheet, it's showing that because these guys are so high owned in terms of value, right, and that would be such a common build, they're going to be very, very inflated. So for GPPs, go underweight on somebody like Hines. You're talking about over a fourth of the field having Hines in their lineups. Fade them, get rid of them, get rid of Brian Hill. In terms of upside, we don't see too much. I mean, you can talk about a pivot to somebody like Ronald Jones in the high over under. Nobody will have him, and his upside is obviously there. Somebody like Dalvin Cook, you just talked about. By the way, Dalvin Cook, fantastic chalk. He has a chance to make the optimal 100%. You love Dalvin Cook, so I think he's a fantastic option. He's actually showing under-owned on our models right now. So bad chalk, Hines. Bad chalk, also Hill. Great all the way around for these other options. Let's go ahead and switch gears here to GPPs, TJ. I talked about this in the video. I will talk about it again. I love Chubb.
Hit me.
Chubb, $7,100. Talk about a fantastic pivot. Should control this game. They should get out with an early lead. The game script makes sense. I also like Hunt in the same regard, but also Hunt's showing a little bit higher owned just because of his price tag, $5,600. I love Chubb as just a straight up pivot off of somebody like Kareem Hunt. Why not get both of them in there? They could both have a fantastic game. GPP options, TJ. Let me hear them.
So Matt, Derek Carr. Oh my God, Derek Carr. Derek Henry. I don't know why I just said Derek Carr. Yeah, guys, let's plug in Derek Carr at the running back position.
I mean, these days it feels like you can.
Does have quarterback, running back eligibility. No, I'm looking at Henry. The Colts don't have DeFoster Buckner and Danico Autry this weekend, so two of their big defensive ends. So I just really like this matchup for Derrick Henry. And Matt, what do you have him currently showing at ownership?
10% on the dot.
Okay. So 10% for Derrick Henry is a crime. 7,900. I feel like he's obviously going overlooked. I think it's a very good pivot play off of a guy like Dalvin Cook if you want to spend down and save some money. Again, I kind of really like targeting this matchup. I think it has sneaky shootout potential being Tennessee at Indianapolis. It is, on paper, a tough statistical matchup against the Colts, who rank 5th in DVOA against the run. So obviously a good run defense. But again, without two of their top 4 defensive ends, or guys in the defensive line, rather, I really like Derrick Henry in this matchup. I think he has a ton of upside and definitely somebody that I'm looking to target in tournaments. And again, you mentioned Nick Chubb as well. I love that. I think they can get out to a huge lead and just absolutely pound the rock with Chubb against Jacksonville.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I mentioned the Chubb Brown stack. That's definitely something that I'm going to be high on today.
First of all, there are like 6 GPP options I'm looking at right now, but I'm going to be saving a majority of them for Patreon. But one other person I just want to talk about strictly because his ownership is literally at 2.7% right now, and his name is Kamara. I don't care. He's a superstar. Like, this offense could be Kamara today. We saw it was Taysom Hill last week. But, I mean, talk about game script. I mean, this is a horrible game to target in general. Everything's going against Kamara having a good game, but at 2.7% for a superstar, I mean, we talk about this like in NBA, like when you get James Harden in a very, very low over under, he's still a superstar, very overpriced, half the time. I feel like this is a similar kind of picture with like Kamara. You have a superstar with all the usage, and he's in a horrible game matchup. New Orleans could get out to a lead, and they could just use Kamara. It could happen. 2.7% doesn't make sense to me. One of my favorite GPP options on the slate, just because nobody's gonna be paying $8,200 for a Kamara. Again, just one of those very contrarian plays that could end up, benefiting you and definitely playing into your favor. So, again, I have a lot of GPP options. I want to hear your thoughts real quick, TJ, before we move on. Austin Eckler, before he got injured, was averaging 19.9 fantasy points a game. Last season, he averaged 19.2. So we're with obviously Justin Herbert now the quarterback. Mm-hmm. Do you have any belief in Eckler at 6,100? I feel like that's criminal.
Yeah, it's super cheap. I'll definitely take some stabs with him. It's just kind of unsure to see what his workload will be. I think he'll be kind of a limited fashion. I wouldn't expect a full workload coming back from his injury. But, at 6,100, I'll definitely take some stabs at him for sure.
Sorry, I was drinking. I also saw in the chat real quick, Taysom Hill hurts Kamara value. You could believe that, but we've only had 1 game sample size. So, I mean, we still have yet to see a good amount of Kamara working with Hill. That could literally just be that game script. So, again, no idea what to expect with Kamara going forward. And because of that, I'm willing to take, a couple stabs. So let's go ahead and switch over to the wide receiver position here. Justin Jefferson at 21.3% ownership. You got done talking about Thielen out with COVID. Does it help or hurt Justin Jefferson? Well, at 6,300, he's going to be pretty chalky. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I think it's a good matchup against the Panthers. 21st in DVOA against the pass. He could see some double coverages today, but I would fully expect Kirk Cousins to throw into those. So Justin Jefferson at 6,300. I think it's a safe cash play for sure.
Yeah, I think he's proven enough to warrant a 21.3% owned. He's been very consistent. Yeah, and he has been boom or bust with Thielen. So you can only assume that he's going to get all these targets. I would assume so. So $6,300 allows you to save some salary, get to your higher priced quarterbacks, get to those higher priced Dalvin Cooks of the world, maybe Kamara. Stephon Diggs next on the list here, 20.2%. 7.6K. I think it's pretty obvious. What do you have to say about Stephon Diggs?
Yeah, I love Diggs, and then again, love Keenan Allen as well in that game.
Too many targets.
I think that's really good stack potential being with Josh Allen and Diggs, and then coming back with Keenan Allen, and then on the flip side going Herbert and Allen and coming back with Diggs. I think those are 2 really good lineups that you could start out with. And just the Diggs, the volume share that we talked about is just massive. So in a set high over under at 52 points right now. Yeah, I definitely like Diggs. It makes sense to me. It's 7,600.
Yeah, I completely agree. We were looking at their targets, and we did not realize how many targets they were really getting. It's insane. Both of them. Double-digit targets, it seems like, every single game. Same thing with Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's actually going down in ownership, which is very juicy. I like the Patrick Mahomes Tyreek Hill stack. 13.7%. He was in that cash range, but now he's more of a pivot. Also, everybody must have been watching our YouTube video, TJ, because Cole Beasley is shooting up on the board here, 12.9% ownership. So at 5.5K,
is it because of us, or is it because John Brown?
It's
because of us. Yeah, I think Brown. So too.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, Cole Beasley now not more of a GPP option. He's definitely more of a cash option. So 12.9%. Definitely don't hate that. Let's go ahead and talk GPP. Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and address the Jaguars here. Wide receivers. You're getting Keelan. What's that?
The elephant in the room.
Yeah, he's
the Jaguars.
Keelan Cole 3,600 and Shenault at 3,300. Are you going to be including them in cash games, TJ? If you have to.
Probably not. But I mean, I don't hate it. Like Shenault at 3,300. Like I really don't hate. Obviously Mike Glennon. They're gonna be playing from behind. They're home dogs. Like they're gonna have to throw. So these guys are gonna get targets. I feel like we're talking about the Jets though. the Jets offense. Like when we had, I'm trying to think of who we were talking about, like Pyramid and then Denzel Mims, and it was just an absolute mess because we're talking about the Jets. So now we're talking about the Jags with Mike Glennon, and it's just like they're so cheap, Matt, and they're gonna have targets because they're gonna be playing from behind. So yeah, if you want to take some stabs at them, sure. But would I do it in cash? Probably not. If I am, I think I'd rather go Chenault over Keelan Cole. But with that being said, I think it's a toss-up between the two. I think I might rather go down to like a Gabriel Davis at 3K if I'm looking to spend down because John Brown is out.
I actually agree with that.
He's definitely had some upside and he's had some bigger games when guys have been out. He had a 9-target game against Tennessee, and I'm pretty sure John Brown was out then. And then against Seattle, he had a 5-target, 4-reception, 70-yard, and a touchdown. So I think Gabriel Davis does show some upside. But if you're looking to save, like I really don't hate plugging in Chenault and Keelan Cole. Matt, I don't know if you agree with me. Obviously, Mike Glennon starting scares the crap out of me. But again, home favorites, playing from behind, obviously. And if they can even stay competitive, like who else is he going to throw to? Tyler Eifert? So
yeah,
it's, you know, there's no one to throw the ball to. So Chenault and Cole, I think they're decent options if you have to go there. You
compare them to the Jets offense. It's actually pretty hilarious because they're projected to score more points than the Jets right now with Mike Glennon. So it just goes to show you how bad the Jets offense really is.
It's terrible.
But I won't hate you for it just because it's so obvious, but I will hate you if you start one of those two guys over Gabriel Davis. I think he's more obvious. I really do. In terms of upside, and I don't think the target share will necessarily be as high as those two, but I think that the boom potential is definitely there. Could make or break you into line. When you're taking a dart throw, might as well take it on somebody that's going to be boom or bust anyway. $3,000. I mean, you have to hit 6 points to cover your price tag. It's not hard to do. Catch a couple balls in there, a couple deep balls. So 14% owned.
Yeah, just a quick note on that Browns game. I forgot Denzel Ward is out too, so
good point.
That's pretty big for whoever would have been covering Keelan Cole and Chenault.
Yeah,
no, would have been covering. So
the one thing about the slate in general is I feel like there's very obvious games that stick out to me. The Bucs in Kansas City, and then there's also Atlanta, Las Vegas, and then Buffalo Chargers, and then it's everybody else. Everybody else has a very low over under. Then you're getting contrarian with those picks in general. So Gabriel Davis is in one of those obvious games. Might as well just play him. Never look back. The Jacksonville Jaguar game, yes, it could potentially be higher scoring than it's supposed to, but you're already getting a guaranteed, I feel like, high over under with the Buffalo Bills. So might as well go with the obvious play there, at least in cash. And GPPs, again, completely different mindset. By the way, Leverage Sheet says that Keelan Cole and Chenault are very overrated. Obviously, I think that's very obvious in terms of ownerships for GPPs. All right, so let's go ahead and switch gears to GPP wide receiver options. I actually really haven't looked too far into this, but I will say that just off the bat, it looks like my boy Hopkins, if I believe Kyler Murray is going to do anything today. Hopkins, very low ownership. It keeps bouncing around here. Hopkins is at 7.3% ownership, $8,100, very awkward price tag. I love the combo of Kyler Murray and Hopkins to be low owned in general, especially with Kyler Murray at 5.4%. I know that you don't like Hopkins to get into the end zone this week, but it could happen, and he could still have a very good game. So GPP options, let's hear them, TJ.
So I'm looking at some dumpster dives this weekend, Matt, and I'm glad you just brought up Arizona because they're without Larry Fitz. So I'm kind of looking at Andy Isabella at 3K.
Okay.
Isabella, excuse me. So Fitz logged 82% of offensive snaps last week, 90% the week before. So I think Isabella's obviously going to be third and thrown into that third wide receiver role. And at the minimum, I think he's another one of those cheap options that you can go to along with Gabriel Davis. I think he shows some pretty decent upside against the Pats secondary that has struggled. And if you're looking at Gilmore on D-Hop and then J.C. Jackson on Kirk, then I kind of think that frees up Andy Isabella, excuse me. I like that name, Isabella. So I do like him. You were talking about that Chargers-Buffalo matchup. I kind of like Mike Williams at 5K. I think he's pretty cheap. I think that's a pretty good GPP play. Matt, curious to see what you have, Matt, ownership, if you can find it. Okay, I saw it. I have 3%. So yeah, at 4.9%, you know, he's a very good deep threat. So I like Mike Williams at 5K. Nelson Aguilar, we talked about showing really low ownership in that matchup against Atlanta. Very juicy matchup, being one. Oh, Chips just cried. So I definitely
was Amanda
like
for a second.
Nelson. No, that was Chips. So I definitely like Aguilar at 49. Sammy Watkins is interesting to me at 4,700 coming back from, his lingering injuries that he's had. Okay, I'm not going to talk about him anymore then. Dude, T.Y. Hilton is 3.9K.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that's absolutely wild. I mean, he hasn't had a game over 13 points this week. This year. But I keep saying I kind of want to target this game. I think it really has some high upside. So I'm going to take some chances with T.Y. Hilton. I don't recommend you guys tail me on this one, but at 3,900, the lowest he's been all season.
I'm going to give you my professional opinion. Just don't take it.
Yeah, you guys don't have to listen to me. I do some crazy things. So, but I am kind of interested in that. And then Zacchaeus at 3,800. Julio, if he's out, kind of like that in that matchup against the Raiders. I think there's a lot of good cheap plays that you can go with, Matt.
Yeah. You're naming everybody. These are all good, though.
I'm kind of looking on the cheaper side. And then we didn't even mention AB either at 5,700.
Oh, yeah, no. Somebody
the target
in the chat
share has just been quietly increasing. So I definitely like me some AB in that matchup. Godwin too at 6K. So I think there's a lot of good GPP plays this week.
Definitely. It's funny. The one time you mentioned Isabella, the one time I took him in my single entry was on the week 2 matchup versus the week 3 matchup versus Detroit, and it was the only time I took him. Got 20.1 points. So I have a good connection with Isabella now. I feel like the only time I take him, he does well. It's just the 1 week. But yeah, no, I like all those options, TJ. Again, Tampa Bay is just getting overlooked in general. Tom Brady stacks with any one of their wide receivers. I feel like is very, very safe and intriguing. High boom or bust potential. Ronald Jones is always in that mix. He always gets overlooked. Fournette, we don't know what's going on in that backfield. We still don't know. One of them has a boom game. It's just about nailing the right one. I'm going to lean towards Ronald Jones just because I think he's the better runner at this point. We've seen Fournette dropped so many passes in the past 2 weeks. It's been unreal. I don't understand. It's not Fournette-like, but maybe he's nervous. Maybe he's nervous playing with a Hall of Famer here and Tom Brady. He's used to playing with trash bags. So
trash bags.
Now that he stepped into the spotlight, though, I think Ronald Jones definitely makes for a more intriguing play. I want to move on from the wide receiver picture, if you don't mind, TJ. Let's go ahead and move on to the tight.
One question. So with Joe Burrow being out, Brandon Allen starting, do you have any interest in these Bengals receivers? They are so cheap now. You got Boyd at 5K, you have T. Higgins at 47, and you have AJ Green at 36, all showing low ownership.
I will say this.
Any thoughts?
I had Boyd on Prize Picks hitting the over of 11 DK points, and that's all I'll say.
Okay. I like that.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the tight end position here. We have Kelsey and Waller and then everybody else. Kelsey at 7K, 25.2%, I feel like is just as obvious as Tyreek Hill at the wide receiver position, if not more obvious now. If you had to pick one of the two, I know you mentioned Darren Waller as being a slightly more obvious option just because he's so cheap at 6K, 24.7%. What are your thoughts now after seeing all of the value plays now at the running back wide receiver position?
Yeah, so I think Darren Waller definitely has the better matchup. But I think Kelsey has the higher upside. So yeah, if I can get up to Kelsey at 7K, that's where I want to be. But I don't think you can go wrong with going down to Darren Waller. So at the tight end position, if I have one of those two in my lineups, I feel very confident.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of where I'll leave it because I have been flipping back and forth this week. Do I want Kelsey? Do I just want to spend down to Waller? And as long as I see one of them in my lineup, like I'm okay with it. I think Kelsey has the higher ceiling opposed to Waller. But again, both, Waller, the better matchup. Kelsey's got a tougher matchup against that Bucs defense that does rate out second and DVOA against tight ends. So they cover that position very well. And the defense as a whole, obviously, is pretty damn good. But yeah, at Kelsey at 7K, that's kind of where I want to get up to. And again, if I have to fall down to Waller, I'm cool with it.
I know this is like the most obvious statement in the world, TJ, but whenever Kansas City gets into a shootout, Kelsey does well. I mean, obviously, but he really does. Yep. And this is a shootout game. This is going to be a shootout. Kelsey's going to get targets. Tyreek Hill's going to get targets. I feel like that team in general is the most obvious stack on the slate. Kelsey, the last few times they've gotten 35, 33, 35 points. He's gotten over 25 points in all those games. So Kelsey's just obvious. I feel like there's no more obvious play at making the optimal than Travis Kelsey. I feel like Waller's more of a long shot to make the optimal, but at 6K, I don't hate it. I just feel like Kelsey's that much more obvious of a play to me. I'm going to try my best to get him into my cash lineup. And then everybody else, I don't see anybody else getting over 25 points at the tight end position. I don't think anybody has the potential to do that. I mentioned a couple
love
names.
Kyle Rudolph?
I mean, to get 25 points, not even close.
I did pick Kyle Rudolph up this week.
Yeah,
I had to.
I'm sorry they had to do that.
I kind of like
he's okay, but again, if we're just comparing him to the rest of the players here.
Right. Yeah, that's why I'm saying Kelsey or Waller, and then kind of go from there.
I don't want to talk about anybody else, to be honest. I mentioned Austin Hooper just because of matchup, but at 3.8K, in terms of value, I just feel like Kelsey meets that value of what's he have to get to 14 points or 3 times 21 points. Makes it so much more of an obvious play to me. But anyway, do you want to talk about anybody else at the tight end position that you feel confident talking about?
I don't know if it was your mic that was lagging or me, but you kept cutting in and out. But I did just hear you at the end. Yeah, I mean, I do like Evan Ingram at 4,500. It's a good matchup against Cincy. Could be a barn burner there, but I definitely don't hate him. If you are looking to spend down, I don't mind Kyle Rudolph. Obviously, Irv Smith is out, as is Adam Thielen. So Kirk Cousins can't just throw to Justin Jefferson 19, 20 times a game, or this game rather. So I don't hate Kyle Rudolph. Last game with Irv Smith being out, he played 78% of offensive snaps. He's normally around the 70-ish mark, so we could see a little bit of an uptick of more plays. So I don't hate Rudolph at 28 as a spend down spot. You mentioned Austin Hooper. I don't hate that either at 3,800. A guy like Gesicki, with Fitzpatrick back, I think he shows some decent upside. He had a couple games there in the beginning of the season where he had 27 in the second game against Buffalo, and then he had 14 against the Niners. Since that game, it's kind of been on the downslope there for him with Tua, but I mean, he's still seeing a little bit of targets. So I don't hate taking a chance with Gesicki against the Jets. Obviously, a horrible defense, a team we obviously look to exploit every single time we can. So yeah, at 4,300, I don't hate Gesicki, especially at the ownership that he's showing. But besides that, Matt, besides those guys I mentioned, I don't really have any interest in anybody. Again, want to get up to Kelsey and Waller if I can. If I can't, I guess I'm staying at Kyle Rudolph. If I do want to punt at the position, I think he would probably show the most upside at his price tag. So
I do like Gesicki because, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the only games where he's had boom, but he could beat Kelsey in terms of value is with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and that is obviously today. So I like him, and I also like Gronk slightly, $4,400. Again, if you're targeting shootouts. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, guys. Technical difficulties. I will have to call him back here. Anyway, we're going to wait for him to connect again. There he is. You there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening. Sorry.
Yeah, you were lagging. I think it was your connection, but it's all good.
Chips is probably chewing on some wires.
He probably is chewing.
But Julio is confirmed out, just so you know and everybody knows.
Awesome. So does that make Hurst? Well, is Hurst out? He's limited practice. He's questionable technically. So Hurst is in. Does that make Hurst a more viable option, I guess, at the tight end position?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a guy that's...
We're losing him. Chips is...
Really?
Yeah, no, I hear you now.
Chips.
You good?
I'm lagging.
I think you're good now. You're good. Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
We're good. All right, you want to move on to the defensive position now?
Yes, before I lag out. Yeah, let's go to defense.
All right. So I'm going to update this page because I feel like the most obvious play on the slate is actually not that high owned, TJ. If we're targeting over-unders, the most obvious play on the slate is going to be the Saints, right? You got to think that. 10.8%.
Yep.
Browns are at the highest owned right now. They're 12.8% against the Jacksonville Jaguars. So where are you looking in terms of defense?
The Saints.
That's what I thought too.
That's it. That's all I want to do.
You got to play the Saints now.
The Broncos team total over under right now is 10.5 points. So the Saints. That's it.
That's got to be the
Final answer.
lowest
That's all
I've
I
ever
have.
seen. Is that the lowest you've ever seen?
Yeah, no. There was a game last year.
Last year, really? Was it
actually,
the Jets?
Yeah, there was a snow game. I'm trying to remember who played.
It's gotta be
Oh,
the
it was
Bills.
abysmal. It was like I think it was the Bills, but I can't remember who it was. I'll think of it.
I don't think the team total was 10 though. Was it really that bad?
Dude, the game finished. No, it was. I just remember the live over under being like 15 points at one point. I might be making this up, but I swear it was.
I swear I might be making this up.
I gotta find it now. I have to find it because I'm gonna go insane. Hopefully, somebody in the chat can help us out. But
you're probably lying if nobody can think of it.
No, I'm not lying. I promise you it happened.
Well,
but yeah,
anyway,
Matt, I want to get the Saints. That's it, 3,800. If you want to take a chance at the Browns, fine. But I would love to put the Saints in every single lineup that I have.
No, this is good chalk, and I'm actually waiting for it to update because it's so obvious. I feel like if anybody's higher owned than the Saints, I will be so surprised. I will PayPal you $100, TJ, if anybody's higher owned than the Saints this week.
Deal.
Yeah.
Deal.
I think it's a great deal. I think it's a great bet. But yeah, I think that presents high GPP upside. I think that presents high cash upside. You're looking for a team that can obviously score above 10 points. I think that's a good measure for defense. I think we can move on to questions, though. You ready to move on to questions for the overall slate?
Let's do it.
All right. So one thing I have changed about the YouTube questions is that I'm now prioritizing all of the questions in the Discord. We have a Discord section. So if you're a Discord user, feel free to ask questions in the YouTube chat. While I do that, while I pull up some of the questions, TJ, do you mind going through the top and answering some questions?
It's not. Let's do it. Good morning, Steelers Nation #1. Good morning, Jerry. Like it, man. They're playing fantastic. How y'all feel about Fitz Magic versus the Jets? We talked about Fitz. Definitely like the matchup now that he'll be playing. Kind of like stacking him with Gesicki if you can. Does Eckler get his full workload? Matt, I think we kind of think he's probably going to be limited.
Did you say Gesicki?
Most likely.
What'd you say?
Yeah, with Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
But then, sorry. Gesicki, actually. Does Eckler get his full workload? Excuse me. I probably said Gesicki. I think he's going to be in a limited role.
Oh, you're lagging again.
That he'll be limited. But just at 6,100. Am I really?
Yeah, but you're good now. You're good now. I think I figured it out. I have to go to your Discord and open it up again for it to start working.
Okay, sorry about that, guys. Some technical difficulties, obviously. So yeah, Eckler, I think he shows some good upside at 6,100. I just don't think the full workload is going to be there. Mostert get his full workload again. Same situation, coming back from injury. I think I'd be more interested to go with Mostert over Eckler, but again, it's pretty tough to say what their workload will look like. Matt, Naked Murray sounds good.
Yeah,
someone might want to see Kyler Murray.
That's such a weird comment. Why would you comment that? Playing him naked, that would be a great play.
Yeah,
just because of his offensive production.
Barrios back with Darnold.
I don't think it changes much.
I mean, I'm going to stay away from it, but I guess I don't hate it. Buckner is a defensive tackle. Yes, thank you. Buckner and Ayton are both defensive tackles.
Real quick, TJ, I'm gonna go to the Discord chat real quick.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
DJ Moore or Jefferson for GPP? That's a great question. I feel like those are.
DJ Moore.
Yeah, I think just because of upside. I mean, not upside, because of ownership. But in terms of upside, I think Jefferson definitely has a boom potential game in him this week. I think he's a great play overall. Choosing one in cash, Jefferson or Ridley? What's going on?
I was just going to say, if Chris Boyd's covering DJ Moore, I love that matchup, exploiting him for Minnesota. But what were you saying?
Choosing one in cash, Jefferson or Ridley? It's a good question. I'd say Jefferson.
I'd go Jefferson too. Yeah, I do like I like the Ridley ceiling, but I think Jefferson's floor is going to be a little safer.
I agree. And then one more question here. What size contest can you fade Cook? I would only do that in big GPPs. I'm talking over 1,000 people, because that's where you're really looking to take down a big GPP. And I think that fading Cook, you can definitely do that as long as you nail the rest of the pieces, because Cook should have a good game this week. Of course, if he gets injured, you're looking really good. We're not hoping for that, obviously, but big GPPs are where you start to fade Cook. Go ahead, TJ. That's all the questions from the Discord.
Perfect. Drake or Chase Edmonds? It's so tough. I think Drake probably has a better floor, but I like the ceiling more on Chase Edmonds. He actually outsnapped Drake last week by 5% of offensive snaps. With Julio Jones most likely missing this week, who should I start in the flex? Giovanni Bernard or Mike Davis? I would go Mike Davis.
Oh,
You agree, Matt?
Yeah, probably.
Am I lagging again?
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit. Mike Davis, probably.
Did you hear anything I said?
I heard. Okay. Yeah, I heard the second question.
Yes, Mike Davis.
Yeah.
Okay. Arizona Cardinals wide receiver Kirk. Love it. Parker, a good cash play. Matt, what do you think about Devontae Parker this week? Any thoughts? Or
I like Devontae Parker. His actual projection, we're taking a look at Prize Picks right now. His projection went from 12.5 to 14.9 since the beginning of this week. So obviously people are bullish on Devontae Parker. I like that. I just don't like the matchup. But again, if it's going to be a potential quote-unquote shootout, it's going to be in this game. The Jets should score more points than they're supposed to in this one, just because that offense should get going pretty early for Miami. Yeah, I like him. I don't know if I like him to hit the over. I know I switched over to Prize Picks of 14.9. That might be too bullish for me, but I do think he has a good game.
Hill or Breida in cash? I say Hill.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Hill's a great option for cash.
Yep. Thanks for the Prize Pick promo. No problem, Scott. Scott says he's been having a lot of fun with Prize Pick. Prize Pick is awesome.
Yeah,
man. If you guys cool. haven't, you can see it on the bottom of your screen. Promo code DGF gives you 100% back on your first deposit up to $100. So definitely take advantage of that if you guys haven't yet. Gesicki solid with Fitz back and Rudolph with Thielen. Yeah, we touched base on both of them. Definitely like the upside with Gesicki now with Fitz back. And again, with Thielen out and Irv Smith, definitely like me some Rudolph if you are punting at the tight end position. Am I lagging?
No, I'm about to cut you off because Discord. Discord Prize Picks. Does Drake get the over today? I actually want to hear your opinion on this, TJ, because again, we're going back into New England territory. Kenyon Drake, 12. He's projected on Prize Picks. Do you like the over or under on that, or do you like it at all? I feel like that's very risky. When you mess with Kenyon Drake, you don't know what you're gonna get. That's the only issue I have with Drake.
Yeah, Pat's run defense has been a little better now that Chase Winovich has actually been seeing some snaps. It's definitely a department in which we've struggled in defensively. I'm going to say no, he doesn't hit 12. I'm going to say take the under.
I don't like the pick in general. I don't like taking Kenyon Drake for the over or under just because there's too much volatility. I think there's a lot of safer picks on Prize Picks. And again, I'm saving that for Patreon. You Patreon members know which ones I like.
Go ahead. You got something?
No, that's it actually for the Discord chat.
Pick 2: DJ Moore, Cole Beasley, Michael Thomas, Deontay Johnson. This might surprise you, but I think I would go DJ Moore and Cole Beasley.
Say those names again.
DJ Moore, Cole Beasley, Michael Thomas, Deontay Johnson.
Steelers are on Tuesday, so this must be like a full from what Sunday to Tuesday.
This might just be a fantasy question opposed to a DFS question.
Yeah.
I'd go DJ Moore and Cole Beasley.
DJ Moore, Cole Beasley. I can agree with that.
I'm not playing Michael Thomas out of those 3.
No, I'm not.
Out of those 4, rather.
No, definitely not this week, no.
Saints D scores 50. I think they do score 50.
We have a lineup coming in from the Discord chat real quick. Cash or GPP? Is this more cash or GPP? Patrick Mahomes. Sorry, I just saw your multitasking. No, you're good. Is this more of a cash or GPP option? Patrick Mahomes, Gallman, Hines, Antonio Brown, Boyd. I can already tell you right now it's more GPP. Guyton, Kelsey, Tyreek Hill, and then Saints D. Yeah, you're messing with a Kansas City stack, but you're jamming in some of these value guys. So definitely more GPP. Also, another question: Melvin Gordon sees a big increase in carries? Question mark.
I could see it as a potential. It's kind of tough to say what they're going to do with Hinton. Like if they're just going to run kind of like a wildcat type offense, seeing as he was technically a wide receiver, played quarterback in college at Wake Forest. But I just think they're going to stack the box and try and make them beat them with their arms. So it's definitely going to be interesting. Melvin Gordon could see an uptick in carries, but I wouldn't be too optimistic on it. So I would try to avoid the Broncos offense as a whole. If I am taking somebody, I would take Melvin Gordon if I had, gun to my head.
Yeah, Melvin Gordon's not bad. I think it's gonna be the same thing with like Taysom Hill. Like they're gonna roll out a bunch of wildcat packages, but we don't know who's gonna get the ball out of those. But yeah, Melvin Gordon could definitely see an increase. Again, the pace of that game's gonna be so low. We could see Melvin Gordon out there for like a total of like 10 plays. Per half. I feel like it's not a favorable matchup for running backs or wide receivers at all for any offense. Again, it's not a pretty picture there in Denver. Go ahead and you can go back to your questions, TJ.
Okay. What about a Murray, Hopkins, Myers stack? I talked about it. Hopkins has not scored in his NFL career against the Patriots. He's 0 for 7 in finding the end zone. Tough matchup against one of J.C. Jackson or Stephon Gilmore, depending on what side of the field Hopkins lines up on, or if they try and just completely shadow him with Gilmore. So, yeah, I mean, I can get behind it, I guess. Murray, Jacoby Myers was really high owned last week and burned a lot of guys because Cam went back to Damari Bird. So if you want to take a chance on GPPs, go ahead, but I probably would not. Matt, Josh Jacobs or Chubb, DK?
Chubb for both. Chubb for both. How about that? For cash and GPP.
Great.
Yeah.
Curtis Samuel or Michael Pittman? I'm going Curtis Samuel.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I like Pittman.
Curtis Samuel's been so
Curtis Samuel,
good.
yeah, Curtis Samuel has been pretty good. I'll take Samuel.
We don't need to agree.
No, I like them both, but I like Samuel more.
Yeah. You got a Discord question or?
Nope. I'll let you know when I do.
All right. Mims or Cole? I'm going Cole.
I do like Mims this week, though. Yeah, you're asking me to pick between trash. I like Mims. I like Mims. I guess. Yeah, I'll say that.
Matt, someone needs some long-term fantasy football advice. Rodgers or Carr this week in a 12-team standard league?
Rodgers is in a very bad matchup this week. Carr's in a very good matchup this week. That's what I will say. I don't know. That's tough. That is tough. It's like you want to take the worst Aaron Rodgers game or the best Derek Carr, and it's pretty even. So,
yeah. So it's kind of like, do you want to watch Aaron Rodgers absolutely exploit the Bears defense if you do bench him? I personally think that Derek Carr obviously has the better matchup, but I feel like you're going to be hurting yourself if you do bench Rodgers and he has a good game. That being said, go with Derek Carr.
I have Aaron Rodgers in my season long, and I only have Aaron Rodgers. I have no QBs to back him up, literally nobody. So I'm hoping that Aaron Rodgers does something this week with you. So,
okay. We got another question here, Matt. Another fantasy football question. So we got a PPR league, and he had Mark Andrews, who is obviously out. Pick one, or Mark Andrews has COVID, so he's out if they do play on Tuesday. I don't see how they play on Tuesday with everything going on. But so pick one: Tonyan, Gesicki, or Rudolph. For me, it's between Gesicki and Rudolph.
Yeah,
I think Gesicki has a higher ceiling. I think Rudolph has the higher floor. So I would definitely go between one of those two, and it looks like you need to win. I'd roll the dice with Gesicki.
We have a Discord question. I see these 4K backs. What's your take on Breida this week?
So Ahmed's out, obviously. So I'd rather go Brian Hill. Just plain and simple.
I do. I don't like Breida's talent. I don't like Breida. Like I just don't like him as a player. Like I don't think he's that good. I like Hill more for upside just because of the over under. I think that's something you want to target for sure.
Yeah, I mean Breida hasn't seen more than 10 carries in a game. I wouldn't expect him to come out and get 15 carries this weekend. So I think Brian Hill definitely has way more upside.
With the Chiefs having so many different offensive weapons, does that make it hard for Tyreek Hill to hit the over? And I'm assuming you're talking about Prize Picks. Let's go ahead and take a look at Tyreek Hill. 18.5 points. No, it's funny. I saw a stat. Did you know, TJ, that Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill are positively correlated in that offense? I did not. Just as positively correlated as a QB wide receiver stack. Isn't that weird? So
no. It makes sense.
I think it's totally dependent on the over under in general. I think both of these guys are in very strong possible scenarios to hit the over. If you're picking one or the other, I feel like you need to pick both. I will say that.
I think with Sammy Watkins being back, it kind of hurts Hill a little bit, but Even
barely.
still, I mean, yeah, I still love it.
18.5 is his projection. I think that Tyreek Hill, when he booms, man. He gets you 30-plus points. Same thing with Travis Kelce. We just looked at his stats. So in games where they score over 30 points, Travis Kelce has gotten to 25 in every single one of those scenarios. So, all right.
You want to wrap it up?
Yeah, let's go ahead and wrap it up, and we'll answer a few more questions. Sano's just coming in at the end here.
What's up, Sano?
With no Julio, are you interested in the over on Hurst or Ridley?
I'd go Hurst.
I think he's saying both. Hurst, I don't know.
Or Ridley.
Ridley, 18.5. Sorry, 18.5. Do you like the over on that?
What's Hurst's for Prize Picks?
Good question. I actually can't find
10?
him.
Sorry, I'm just pulling it up, so I don't have it.
Yeah, I don't see him.
Really, he's not offered?
I don't think he's offered. I think you must be going the Draftkings sports book. So no. But if his over is at 18.5, I like. That's tough. That's such a hard price point to get to, just because they're the Falcons, so streaky. Do you like that 18.5 over under?
I do and I don't. It's so tough. I wish Hurst was offered on Prize Picks because I'd rather go there.
Yeah, I can agree with that actually.
But yeah, I do like it.
One last question, and then we'll go ahead and wrap it up, and then I need to go on Patreon.
Gotcha. No, thank you. Yep.
Hunt, Hilaire, or Bernard for my 2 RB slots PPR. Hunt, Hilaire, Bernard. Hunt has the most upside, which is weird to say. I think I like Hunt and Hilaire.
I think I like Hilaire and I like Gio.
Really? You don't like Hunt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just think we see a lot of Chubb.
Okay. I can agree with that. I like Chubb more. All right, let's go ahead and wrap it up, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great NFL Sunday. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to ask them in the Patreon chat. Also, Patreon, $20 a month. And there's Chips, the real MVP. Can you pick him up, or is he sleeping?
He's sleeping. I can't wake him up. Puppy sleeps.
Yeah, he's a
Corey
man. Can't
wake him up.
We'll have to bring both of our corgis on stream next time. But if you guys want to show up next week, you guys will see that. Let's go ahead and end that on a great note, guys. With all that being said, have a great rest of your weekend, and let's cash.
See you guys.